Rotator cuff injuries are the most common injuries I've actually helped people with in 2025. I didn't plan for it to be this way. It's just the amount of people that have given me the knock. I've ended up with these injuries. So I've kind of been forced to become extremely efficient and effective at helping men get over these issues, right? So I've got a lot of experience with this. I'm going to give you everything that I know in a short 15, 20-minute video. The reasons for these issues, a lot of people will say general wear and tear. They will say it's just happens. I work in X industry, or it's just method of getting old, right? Listen, there's a lot of different reasons why it happens, and the best reason that you could actually identify is it's your own fault. It's your own fault, right? For whatever reason, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. Very rarely, though, is it for a reason that you didn't tap in a grappling setting, you didn't tap to a Kimura, you didn't tap to an Americana, you didn't tap to a shoulder block. Very rarely is it that. It's a lot of the other stuff, right? So let's get cracking. I'm going to be covering today the mindset and the principles of injuries, and what actually, how we think, what we believe, and how we problem solve gets us to the point where our body starts to feel like shit in one way or the other. Is it our bicep that's strained, or is it our shoulder that is fucked? What's going to catch you out in your endeavours to develop yourself physically in these areas? And I'm going to give you 3 exercises that get you pain-free. Simple as that, right? And what qualifies me to talk about these matters is I've not only coached thousands of elite soldiers when I was in the parachute regiment, I've worked with hundreds of injured soldiers when I was at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. I now coach men on the longevity program on a one-to-one basis that are crazy bastards, grapplers, mountain bikers, skateboarders, and as much as I can't promise them that injuries are not going to happen, I can literally say to them I will help them fix those injuries if they did arise, and we can do our best to reduce the likelihood of these things happening by building strength and resilience. So every so often I get a knock saying my shoulder's fucked, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, I'll just rewrite your full program. This is what we're going to do, this is the priority, these are the rules, these are the limitations. And you can see here, rotator cuff tear, frozen shoulder, we've got anterior delt tear, and I'm not going to fill up a page full of rotator cuff tears, it'd be pretty boring for you. Anyway, I know what I'm doing, so listen to me. Simple as that. I'm also a purple belt with 7 years of experience. On the mats. Right. First and foremost, look in the mirror. You've got an injured shoulder. Internal rotator cuff is on the front of your shoulder. External rotator cuff is in the back near the shoulder blade. So a bit of a dull ache. It's 2 different types of pain, right? The pain has come on and you have identified it. First thing I will say is the fact that you're actually saying that you're injured is a fucking huge thing. Because it takes a lot of courage for a man to admit that he's injured, right? Most men will be like, nah, it's normal, it's just a bit stiff. Listen, right? The fact that you're here, learning about an injury, deserves a lot of credit, right? I'm just going to make my head a little bit bigger because it's important, this stuff that I'm saying. I need you to see how passionate I am about it. Right. But you've got to think, right? As much as I can give you credit for noticing that and identifying that within yourself, I need you to go a couple of steps further than that. And I need you to actually blame yourself for the reason that it's like that in the first place. What I mean specifically by that is, have you started neglecting your strength, the strength of your joints, the strength of your muscles? Have you been fully consumed by jiu-jitsu and not strengthened your joints properly for a while? Have you been too busy with work, too busy with your family, too busy with your kids, and neglected the strengthening of your joints? These are all legitimate questions. So, most of the time, I call this the 1.0 grappler. It's basically the creature that lives in our brains, right? It's basically the part of your brain that is responsible for your survival, not for your thriving and development. It's fixed mindset. It's, I'm injured. It's just because I'm getting old. Proper old school, shitty, low level mentality, right? And hopefully, me speaking specifically to that part of your brain gives you a bit of a reality check, and you can actually start to think better for yourself. Because if you think these things, won't admit you're injured, obviously you do, you're watching this video. Endless cycle of information gathering, finding out the best exercises, the specific muscle or the specific ligament that is torn. Who cares about that? It doesn't actually matter when you actually break it down. The pain is the problem. People that think the pain is the problem. Listen, I can give you a little bit of leeway with this because society has programmed us and professionals have programmed us to think that the pain is the problem. The pain is not the problem. It's the response to the problem. By addressing pain or reducing pain, you're just numbing the area. By reducing inflammation, you're reducing the body's ability to naturally heal. You know logically that is true, but you still will take painkillers and anti-inflammatories because you've been conditioned and you think that's normal. And it is normal. However, it's not the best thing to do at all. It's not even very good to do at all. But again, the 1.0 grappler, that creature, is always looking for a shiny object that they think will help them, instead of blaming themselves and their own thoughts, beliefs, and how they problem solving the problem. You know, an acupuncture, sports therapist, a masseuse, all of these things are just things. They're external to you. Think about the problem that has occurred, and it is your fault, right? It might be hard to do, but it is your fault. You can say age is not your fault. However, you've let yourself get out of control in such a way that your shoulder's fucked, right? It might have happened a proper random scenario where it's completely not your fault. However, what you do now is fully up to you. It's fully your responsibility what you do next, right? So, again, the creature never takes accountability, has a fixed mindset, and when I'm saying creature, by the way, I'm not speaking specifically to you and your personality. I'm speaking to a part of your brain that you're letting dictate your life. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that. So the consequences is the same issues keep coming back. Like, it's a pattern. It's a pattern because of how you think, what you believe, and how you solve these problems. Pointing the finger and looking for acupuncture, looking for a certain physio, looking for the best exercises. Listen, most exercises, really basic exercises, work. The problem is your ability to not stick to them exercises, not get good nutrient-dense foods down your neck, and sleep. Sleep 7 to 9 hours every night. So you've let your standard slip. These injuries only happen 99% of the time is because you've let your personal standards slip. And you can use this to reclaim your personal standards, because when is enough enough? The both shoulders have to go, the both knees have to go, and then both elbows have to go for you to realise that you have let yourself slip. I'm fucking pretty harsh in my delivery, right? But I'm fucking passionate in getting through to you these reasons. So before I even get into the exercises, I need to talk about 6 principles which are going to set you up for success, right? And we can talk about, the previous version of you, right? And the beauty of this is, right, whatever you've believed till this point can just so easily be changed. And you just need to tell yourself these frequently enough. Because proof of concept, you genuinely believe that age is a reason for this injury, or you fully believe that the pain is the problem. Well, if you say something else in that as that thought arises, if you say something else, whether it's positive or negative, anyway, what I'm talking about here is 6 principles you need to literally live by in order to get the best results from these exercises. Because if I simply just give you the exercises, send you on your way, you're still thinking that the pain's the problem, you stop training when the pain comes on, and all the rest of that shit, you don't actually get any benefit. Because you're living and you're governed and you are being dictated by the survival part of your brain that doesn't want you to thrive, that doesn't want you to develop. And the only way you can get rid of these injuries is if you develop your physical capabilities. Now, the creature mindset will get you to pain-free. You will override that to getting pain-free but then you'll fall back into living like a creature again because you think that you're sorted. So, the first principle, and the one that you've already done because you're watching this video, is admitting you're injured, but you need to take action immediately. You need to watch information that you think the person's talking sense and act upon it immediately. Because if you do things immediately, you're going to get immediate relief. You're going to get immediate relief from the exercises in which I show you. You are, right? However, I need you to learn a few mindset principles first, because 3 exercises are not going to change your life. They're going to improve your quality of life, but I actually want to use this as an opportunity to change your life. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, this is probably the most powerful thing I can say in this video. The pain is not the problem. It never was the problem. It's a response to an underlying problem. And if you address the pain, you never address the underlying problem. And this creates hundreds of billions of dollars in this strand of exercise rehab, physical therapy, physiotherapy, surgery, not even including surgery actually. The fact that you have been led to believe that the pain is the problem, not actually the underlying root cause, is making you spend a fortune on pain reduction instead of sorting out where the deficit is, where the weakness is. Could be a lot cheaper for yourselves, I swear to God. Right. I say that was the most important. This is a fucking really important one as well. What you do after becoming pain-free is so important. Most people will do some really good work. They will eat healthy, they will get good sleep. They will do exercises with great consistency, great technical ability, and they will get to a point where they're pain-free. And they will stop doing the exercises. Proof of concept. You have just improved the strength and the capacity of your joint. So much so that the symptoms went away. Why would you stop doing something that you've just proven to yourself has been effective? How can you not use that as a learning opportunity to keep doing it for the rest of your life? Remember this, you'll become pain-free very quickly. If you do things properly, you'll become pain-free in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4, 5 or 6 weeks max, depending on severity. So much so that your quality of life is pretty much restored. However, why would you not want to improve your quality of life? Remember, pain-free doesn't mean strong. It doesn't mean resilient. And what I mean by that is the chance of a reoccurring injury because you were playing silly bollocks when something is all of a sudden the pain's dropped off is massive. So the extra work needs to be done. The extra strength work needs to be done to kind of cover the joint with strong muscle, strong ligaments. If you have this is the pattern now, so now you can look at yourself in the mirror and blame yourself for a pattern that's occurred and think, have I let my personal standards slip? Yes or no? And it's probably going to be yes, let's be honest. So if you're noticing wear and tear in your shoulders, is there a chance that you've let your knees go as well? Is there a chance that you've let your lower back slip as well? Can you use this shoulder injury to get that gym membership and start strengthening the rest of your joints? To start maybe losing a little bit of body fat? Can you use this as a lesson? A kick up the arse? To make massive difference. These are the principles. Strengthen the rest of your joints as well, because you never know what's around the corner. So before you even get started, right, things are going to catch you out is that thinking you're finished when you are pain-free. No. Use this as a new addition to your life. Simple as that. Not knowing your current level of strength and no baseline test. I'm going to pause the video now and I'm going to bring up some videos and I can show you exactly what I mean by this. So what you're going to see next is a creative test. I like to use people that have got injured rotator cuff, whether that's internal or external, and you're going to love it because it's a really good way of testing it. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so now on my channel a year ago, I posted this shoulder test, right? And it's basically using a set of scales to use data, right? Remember, a lot of your training for the next few weeks will be based off symptoms. You know, don't go beyond a 4 out of 10 for pain, and train these functions really, really well. However, having a data foundation is just a really good thing, because if you're constantly living and going off feelings, it's not ideal. It should be paired. It should be doubled up, right? Symptoms, data, right? And this is a great way you can get a data foundation so that you can actually measure, because you're going to be doing exercises with resistance bands and stuff like that, or light dumbbells. Measuring strength gains is important. So I'm going to bang this video on here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. So using a set of scales, 90 degrees at the elbow joint, 90 degree at the shoulder joint, 90-90 position. And I'm rotating externally, high elbow position here, through the scales, which gives me a rating here, which gives me a score. I don't know, 6.5 kilos or whatever it is. 7, 8. Hopefully you understand that. If you want to do internal rotator cuff, you'd spin round. So just another quick check of that. Notice how I put a book underneath. Remember, if you've got an external rotator cuff injury, getting into that end range might be painful. So you raise the height. You raise the height of the scales. So you'd put like 3 or 4 books in on there, put the scales on the top, and you'd externally rotate through. And that would be your start point, baseline. And then your goal would be to reduce the height of the books till it's on the floor, and then improve the strength. Remember to do this with both arms, both for external rotation and internal rotation. If you have likelihood of dislocated shoulders, right, one thing that you need to do is you need to try and get your external rotator cuff numbers the same as your internal rotator cuff numbers. So there's a little bit of an extra nugget for you. Just going to put you back on pause now. I'm going to get the exercises back up. So I'm going to show you the low elbow hold. Beneath your elbow. Place a little bit of inwards pressure to make sure that towel doesn't fall. And this will sit your shoulder in the perfect position. Make sure your elbow joint is 90 degrees and you are going to do this rotation movement. Your humerus bone, upper arm, doesn't move, it just rotates. This exercise is going to be an isometric hold into an immovable object. You are going to do the rotation, which was just shown. However, you are going to do it in a hold for a number of times. Find it. Right. Hopefully you appreciate and understand that exercise, because that exercise is going to get you started. And what I say, don't progress from this to the low elbow isometric hold to the high elbow isometric hold instantly and go, oh, hey, I'm fucking unreal. No. Do this and earn the right to progress the intensity. Your first set on this, depending on severity, you want to be, again, your rule is don't go beyond 4 out of 10 pain, right? Now that's going to give you a baseline of how much intensity you can rotate through that immovable object. So you're going to be like, okay, well, it's starting to creep up to a 4, it's up to a 5 now, okay, ease off. And whatever intensity you are rotating through that immovable object, whether it's 50%, 60%, 70%, you are going to have the intent to get to 100% intensity for 30 to 45 seconds before you progress on to the next exercise. And when you get to the high elbow isometric, you might have to reduce it down. You might have to reduce it down to 30%, 40%. But then increase it. As the days go on, your symptoms start to alleviate, you're going to increase the intensity. Remember, earn the right to progress the intensity. This is very specific on training the specific injured areas, by the way. So that's your low elbow variation. I'm going to show you the... Whoa. Fail. External rotator cuff, high elbow to Y. So, the high elbow hold. Shoulder is 90 degrees and your elbow joint is 90 degrees. Make sure your thumbs are pointing backwards and... Right, hopefully you appreciate that. Pretty straightforward. Remember, 30 seconds to 45 seconds. This position may be pretty uncomfortable, right? So what you're going to have to do to get yourself into a comfortable external rotation high elbow position, if you have a fucking serious tear, is you're just going to have to raise the elbows a little bit. No, sorry, you're going to have to raise the wrists. What you can do, another way you can do this is on the floor. So on your back, and you're going to raise the wrists. Remember what I said about the baseline test where you use the books to raise up the height? Depending on the severity of your tear, that's what you're going to do here. So if you can't get into this 90-90 position where your torso and your shoulders flat because your shoulders are fucked, you're just going to have to raise the wrists to reduce the range of motion a little bit, but then you'll build up the intensity and then you will increase the range of motion. Build up the intensity again, increase the range of motion until, gold standard, you're here, where your shoulders, wrists and elbows and torso are all in the same line. Yeah, and then after that, your shoulders are going to feel brand new, right? But that doesn't make a difference because you still need to strengthen them, right? That's the key point of this video. Then we're going to go into resistance band low elbow rotations. So it's very simple, basically moving. Now we're going to move through external rotation in order to start to strengthen these areas. So pretty straightforward one this, but I haven't got a resistance band so you understand it. Get yourself comfortable, make sure your elbow So again, pretty straightforward, right? And just work within these parameters. Don't count your reps, just go 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Really good technique. You've got your baseline standards. You might have an object at home, a water bottle or something like that to start yourself off. But just appreciate that you can now move the shoulder pain-free. And then after you've done the low elbow one, what do you think you're doing to progress? High elbow, full range of motion, movement. And you're going to then progress the weight. And then you're going to embed training your shoulders into your life. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'll put you on pause. I'll tidy my slides up and finish this off. Right. All good. I've mentioned everything. I'm going to make myself bigger. Hopefully you understand, right? I've mentioned why isometrics are gold dust, but I will just re-clarify it. With an isometric hold, you can do the exact function that causes the pain. You have control over the intensity in which you put tension through the area. So you have control over the range of motion that brings on the pain. You can control the intensity, which is aligned with the severity of the tear, based off your symptoms. It's so laser focused, and you can control the duration without any interruption, right? So it's just unbelievable, and it doesn't damage the muscle fibers. It just puts tension, blood, nutrients, repair, regeneration. This stuff doesn't work if you're taking painkillers and anti-inflammatories. This stuff doesn't work if you are a 1.0 grappler that is governed and dictated and in survival mode, living the creature mindset. This only works if you actually believe that your injury is weak joints. This is growth of the muscles, tendons and ligaments, because you are putting strategic, laser-focused stress through them. I've talked about how you can earn the right to progress the intensity. I'm not going to repeat that one. So, keep myself a decent size. Choice. The creature mindset points the finger, blames professionals, blames bad doctors, blames physiotherapists, blames acupuncture, blames stem cells for being too expensive, blames genetics, blames the martial art, my training partner, when in reality he has just let his personal standards go and he's not willing to admit that to himself. The 2.0 grappler, the elite mindset, looks in the mirror, blames himself, owns it and uses it to dominate his weaker areas.